Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. And welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Kevin McDonald, and over there, sitting right there in front of the ocean is John Verico. He is my fellow host, and he's newer to what we do, but he's excited and excited. I shouldn't speak for you, but I'm hoping that you're excited to be here and stuff. And John, I got to ask you before we begin. Have you ever thought about in your life in its totality, whether or not you were doing everything that you wanted to do, or whether maybe it would help for you to talk to somebody who could help you transition to the life that you really truly want to live?
Well, besides having multi-millions of dollars, you mean? No. In all seriousness, we wind up throughout our lives finding our ways into careers that sometimes there are things that we enjoy, sometimes not, and then we pigeonhole ourselves and say, well, this is what we are because this is what we do, but then it comes to a point where you've got to make that next step, right? Because you need to find who you really are in the world and what your mission is and your purpose for being here. And sometimes taking that step is very challenging. So working with somebody like a transformational coach is probably an ideal way to figure out how to make that transitional step.
Amazing. We actually have one of those on the show today.
Isn't that amazing?
Meryl Hayton is with us, and she is a transformational coach. Let me read this from her website. You let go of your second guessing, overthinking, fears, and doubts. You feel calm and present, enjoying life, and are able to manage your stress and emotions. Wouldn't that be good if you could learn how to manage your stress and your emotions? You feel comfortable in your skin no matter where you are and how much skin you have. No, she doesn't say that. Because some of us have more skin than others, but that's a story for another time.
I have transformed into a double X Adonis at this point in my life, so I've got more skin than I used to have. It's actually the same amount of skin. It's just stretched out a bit.
Right.
Exactly. And Meryl is with us, and it's great to have you on the show, young lady.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
And you are. Tell us about yourself. Have you always been a transformational coach, or did you have what I like to think is an epiphany in time when you said, "Why am I really here? What am I supposed to do?" And maybe this will help. Maybe this will help other people.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and yes. Let's see. I started in corporate America when I was still in college, and growing up, I was always like doodling and doing arts and crafts and being creative. And I loved doing my nails. And I ended up wanting to really do nails for a living and have my own nail salon. So I left corporate America to do that. And I had my own little nail salon for like 30 years. So I really followed a childhood passion of mine. And it was great for a while until I felt a little burnt out. And then I was always interested in spirituality, energy healing, alternative medicine, holistic approaches to health and wellness, psychics, card reading, all that stuff, all the woo-woo stuff. And I loved to exercise and do yoga and meditate and journal, things like that. So I was led to become a yoga teacher in 2012. And I found that I was able to help people to really feel better in their bodies. But what I loved about the teachers who I had was that they really helped me to feel better emotionally about myself. So they infused self-development and feeling enough and loving your body and accepting your body into the yoga classes. And I said, I want to be able to do that too. So when I did my second yoga teacher training in 2017, my teacher said to me, what do you really want to learn? And I said, I want to learn how you do that, in class. And she said, okay, great. How about we maybe put a workshop together for you at the end? Because I really wanted to teach workshops. And I was like, that sounds amazing. And I knew that I was going to close my nail salon within another year. And I was led to becoming some kind of a coach. I didn't know what that meant. So I started doing more research, and I found a mind-body medicine practitioner. And I said, oh, that sounds interesting. What is that? How can I get certified in that? And that led me to the Kripalu Institute for Yoga and Health in Massachusetts, where I took a class in Intro to Mind-Body Medicine. And there, that teacher, who became my first coach, actually, she did EFT tapping, emotional freedom techniques. So that's how I was introduced to that modality. And it wasn't like this epiphany yet at that point, but she talked a lot about worthiness. And I was like, yeah, I totally relate to that. That's really what I've been working on my whole life. And when I came back from that, I told my yoga teacher, I said, I want to do a workshop that talks about worthiness. She says, okay, how about we call it I Am Enough? I said, I love that. And 7 years later, I'm leading a retreat in April called I Am Enough. So I'm still teaching that as a program, here and there. And it's something that I've just, feel really strongly about, is helping women to feel enough. So
Meryl, I have to ask. So a couple of questions real quick. First of all, do you have to pay her a commission on coming up with the title?
No, but she's still in my life. We're still friends.
That's amazing. And I do want to talk more about it, but could you back up just for a second? Because you mentioned tapping. Mm-hmm. And so I know I've heard about tapping. I've heard, but for the sake of the maybe, 500,000 listeners who haven't heard about what this actually is, could you just describe for us what that is?
Absolutely. So EFT means emotional freedom techniques, or AKA physical tapping on your meridian points. So most people are familiar with acupuncture, and an acupuncturist uses needles, in your Chinese energy meridian points, typically head to toe, front to back, side to side. We're really using basic points that are hands, head, and chest, and next to your chest, like under the armpit. There are a few other points on your hands and under the chest, but that's the basic recipe point. And it is the ends of the meridian points, and it's really helping to shift stuck energy and dismantle stuck energy. So you could have a trauma from your past, and tapping can help you to completely neutralize any stuck emotions still connected to it. You could be worried about your future and learn to rewire your fear of uncertainty, or worry about something that you're anticipating. And you can help to rewire those patterns, by quelling usually it causes anxiety for people. That's what I hear from my clients. So it'll help with your anxiety. It'll keep your nervous system calm, because when we tap on these points, we're actually tapping right into our parasympathetic nervous system, which is your automatic relaxation response center. So as you're tapping on something that feels difficult, your body feels calmer to process something that might be difficult to talk about. So it's so extensive, but that's like the basics pretty much.
And and for the other half of our million listeners who don't have any idea what we're talking about, and that is Einstein proved and Tesla proved, not the current guy, but the way back when, 100 years ago, that we are all energy.
Yes.
And energy flows throughout our body. And that's where your chakras come from, and that's where your aura comes from, and all of those things. And they are now just beginning to prove that those theories that have been out there for a long time are actually true.
Yes.
and that you can change your energetic perception of yourself and how your body and your mind and your spirit actually reacts to things, but by virtue of using and developing your energy. Am I close?
Very.
Well, that's good news.
Right
'Cause
on.
I'd hate to think I was lying to people because you
Right on
do.
the-
Okay, you're pointing at your nose. Explain what that means.
Yeah, no, I'm saying you're hitting it on the nose.
Ah.
She wasn't tapping.
No, I wasn't tapping on it. That's not a point that I tap on. So here is an example of that with this work. So I was working with a client of mine. She had a lot of relationship conflict with her kids, her parents, and her siblings. So we had a lot of frustration and anger and hurt and sadness and things that we needed to work through. And I said, when we get to a clearer point where you feel calmer most of the time, which took a few months because there was a lot to work on. I said, we can do some surrogate work for your daughter. And she says, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, you can be your daughter, which means you can feel and sense into what you think your daughter is experiencing, and we can help her so that your relationship is actually better. She was like, really? I said, yeah, we can do it. So I can be a surrogate for someone else because I'm not emotionally connected to that person. But it's even stronger when it's someone in the bloodline. So I worked with my client, as I said, to not be frustrated or, connected to anything really unwanted with her daughter. And then in the same session, I said, all right, let's just tap on what you think your daughter is experiencing. And just from what she explained to me, I could intuitively say, well, I think your daughter is feeling this and experiencing this. And she's like, yeah, I think you're right. So we did some, even though tapping on what we thought her daughter was experiencing. And it was about 15 minutes. And I said, she told me her daughter was coming to visit within a week. And I said, I want you to practice this a couple of times. And her daughter didn't know that we were doing it. So it's not like the placebo effect where her daughter knew we were working and then just changed her mind or changed her attitude. That didn't happen. And her daughter came that weekend and was a different person. And that was in February, and she still is different.
And this is November.
And this is November. Yes, let's say that. So she's not as reactive and blaming her parents and, acting entitled. That's kind of what was going on. And and she now takes a little bit more responsibility for her actions and is a little bit calmer. So it's really, that just goes to show that we are all energy, right?
I wanted to ask you a question, and this is a little off topic, but I wanted to ask you a question because in the work that I've done and the people I've been around literally thousands of people in driving the bus and doing and restaurant work and all that kind of stuff. What I've found is that there are people who we can absorb their energy,
right?
Because it's a negative, and it can be a really negative energy, and it can affect us. It's like walking into a party and there's somebody that you think, oh, I don't want to go over there, because I can sense their energy. We have a young associate who is going through this process of trying to create her own positive energy going outward, but she's still absorbing negative energy. Do you have any thoughts or any help? And I think this is a pretty big problem for a lot of people, but do you have any thoughts of way of protecting herself from the negative energy that's out there?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say I'm an expert in that field, but I do have some suggestions. So that is typically called an empath. And they're typically highly sensitive people, and they feel people's energy and they take on people's energy. But what's really important for people like that is to be able to manage their own energy and protect their own energy. So something that that she can do is, every morning when she gets up, is she can plant her feet on the ground and imagine being protected in a golden light. And it can just take a second, really, to just imagine yourself protected. It can be done more than just that, right? It can be done before she goes into a party, or, so that she's not taking on, and just imagine being protected. I mean, if she's connected to a higher power, she can ask for guidance from the higher power to be able to separate energy, and not take on people's energy. I know some people who are energy practitioners who do like Reiki and full body work, and at the end of the day, they come home and they shower, so they're literally showering off people's energy. So there's a few things that can be done. And I think that with the work that I do, there's definitely, there could be a way that this could be for her. I don't know if this is for her or for, I'm sure any other listeners might understand this, but I think there's a lot of people out there who just want to help everyone. And it's hard to separate compassion for someone and taking on their energy, right?
Yep.
I am
So true.
I'm empathetic, but I really can separate myself from someone else's energy, and not take it on.
Well, isn't it true that if, as an example, like she feels like she is a budding psychic medium,
Okay.
but if you feel like you can, like she said the other day when John and I were talking to her, that she can walk into a grocery store and she could feel the energy from somebody 7 aisles away,
Mhm.
as if they're going of what they're going through. And and she also has nightmares in regards to some of these things as well. And so I was trying to tell her that she needs to be able to utilize herself and her guides and her mission to be able to turn the energy off,
Mhm.
so that it doesn't impact her every 24/7, 7 days a week, because you can gather a lot of negative things through that. One of the things that I told her was to visualize a mirror, and she turns the reflective part to the outside, and so that she is reflecting away other people's energy. Is that something that did I do good?
I liked that particular
I
analogy,
don't know.
actually.
I mean, I think that anything that you envision that's in intention of what you want can work.
As long, I think you said it really succinctly there. If you want,
Yeah.
and because a lot of times we're thinking that can be something that we can do, but we don't necessarily believe
Mhm.
that its effectiveness.
Yes. Yeah.
So good. I will save this piece of the interview for her, because I think it will be very helpful, and I think it happens to a lot of folks.
Yeah, it does. Definitely it does.
Especially if you're somebody who, like Kevin said, you and you said, the people that just feel like they want to help everybody.
Right. And
You
they
know?
feel they carry a lot of guilt and shame if they don't. So that's the piece that I work on is, well, why do you feel so guilty, that you have to help everyone? And that's what we work on.
Is some of it true that and I'd love your opinion on this, because I've heard other people say that we all come here for our own reasons, for our own mission,
Mhm.
for our own ideas of who we are and what we're doing. And sometimes people come here with the idea that they are going to be, as an example, drug addicted and work through it, or they're going to have trouble with relationships and they're going to try and work through it. Is that some of the things that you can help people understand why they are acting and why they're feeling the way they are, and can help them work through it?
And can I just add, and even more so, those people that feel that they can't work through it by themselves.
Right. Yeah. So I feel like there's a couple of questions.
Probably.
Right?
We're good at asking a bunch of questions at the same time. But anyway, go
So
ahead.
one of the things I hear you're saying, I think, is do I help people to figure out why they're here?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, in a way, I mean, that's not something that I'm marketing, but people can come to me feeling lost, right? And people can come to me feeling uncertain. And sometimes they've been living a life that they've settled for. Maybe they've been in an unhappy marriage for 30 years and they're divorced, and now they find me and they want to do healing work to get over, their marriage, their ex, toxic relationships and things like that. And then actually it brings one of my clients to mind. I worked together with someone for about 3 months, and then she went on her own way for a while. And then she came back and she says, that work was just incredible. And now I feel like we did all the healing work on her past. Now she says, now I'm ready for like the next step, like to find my next step. So I said, I really feel like you could be a healer. You have a message, like you have overcome incredible amounts of trauma that people need to hear that story and will be inspired by that. And I said it, so I kind of feel like that is the bigger picture for you. So I guess nobody's ever specifically asked me that question before. So I never really thought of it that way, but I wouldn't say that's for all of my clients, but it can come out. Some people just have a specific thing that they want to work on. And we don't necessarily get even to that part. I think, well, not everybody really thinks about, why am I here? So.
Do you find though that at one point at one point in my life, and I think John's too, and other people that we've talked to, that there is a degree of longing for, why am I really here? Like in my case, my life was half over, and I knew it was half over, and it was like, okay, have I done what I came here to do?
Mm-hmm.
And so that I went on a mission, and like you said, that you were led, and I wanted to bring this up, that you were led from one thing to another thing, all with the design of getting you to where you are today.
Yep.
And that is something that you didn't do it. You didn't lead yourself necessarily. You were kind of led to that. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. Follow the breadcrumbs.
And if you follow the breadcrumbs, you're liable to find the bread. If
it's gluten-free bread.
Oh, you too, huh?
Yeah.
Same thing. I had to turn in my Italian card.
Oh no.
Because garlic bread no longer suited you anymore, huh?
You can do garlic gluten-free bread, which just is not quite good.
It's kind of like a brick, isn't it? Kind of a brick with.
There are the gluten-free products are getting better.
They are.
When it first happened, it was pretty much like cardboard.
Yeah.
But it's true. Things happen, and I'm a firm believer. Things happen for a reason. You meet people for a reason. Doors open, doors close. Those things happen for a reason. I mean, here I am. I'm 65 now, and I'm just finding where my real purpose in life is. I've been doing a lot of things in this path for many years, for decades, but didn't realize it was my principal mission until later. And we all evolve. We all evolve. And I started off saying, we'll take jobs and do things because we fall into them. And there was a book I read a number of years ago called The Accidental Salesman.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like nobody wakes up, from a kid, they don't go, I want to be a salesperson someday. No, they don't. They want to be, an astronaut, whatever. but they wind up in certain positions, and then they just think, well, this is what I am. And they may be very good at it. And sometimes they really enjoy it, and it winds up being where they should be and the kind of work they should do. And other times they're miserable, but they stay in it because they don't know anything else.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people don't feel like they have a choice.
Oh, ain't that
there's the next piece of that whole thing right there, is understanding that you have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we talk about the energy in the room when you walk into a room and you feel the people that have that negative energy, and you feel the people that you're drawn to may have a more positive energy. And some people are drawn to the negative energy people, and some people are drawn to the positive energy people. And it took me a while to figure that out myself. The thing is that we have a choice, and that's the piece that we kind of forget, is that we have choices to make. We choose the behaviors to emulate. We choose the people that we spend the most of our time with. And a lot of times we're stuck with some folks, whether, family or whatever, or coworkers, but we choose the way we interact with them and how we let them influence us. And we forget that we have too often we forget that we have that choice. And that's where I think working with somebody like you would help people to realize that they have those choices and could make those those choices, again, the same word, to make that difference.
Yeah. I mean, and believing that you don't have a choice is a choice. And it's really just
that's deep. That is deep.
Oh, that's icky right there.
Right. And it's really just all about your perspective.
Well, and also the perspective of people around you. When I said, I'm going to leave my corporate job and I'm going to do this radio thing and I'm going to form my own company and I'm going to do this, everybody said, you're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. And
I still say it.
Had I listened to them, Meryl, had I listened to them, okay, I might still be married to the woman that I was married to, that I'm no longer married to. But other than that, or some friends that went away, but other than that, this is what I was born to do. And to talk to people like you and John, and this is what I was born to do. I know that now, but I didn't know that then because everybody said you're crazy. How do you help people transform their lives from what other people tell them they should be doing to what is in their heart and in their soul? Do you have any advice for that?
Yeah, that's a big part of the work that I've done for myself and others, is trusting yourself, learning how to trust yourself.
Big word.
And letting go of the shoulds. I should do this, I should do that, I should do that. That's what everybody else says.
I tell people, don't shit on yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when I remember standing in my kitchen at 19 years old with my mother, and I said, so Mom, I called college and I got my deposit back and I'm going to take it and go to nail school. And she said, what are you, crazy? And I said, no. I said, this is what I want to do. And she says, what white Jewish girl is going to make money doing nails? And I did. And I was like, you watch, because that's what I'm doing. I knew exactly what I was doing. I knew I had a craft. I knew it was a calling. And I also had, my whole family has a business mindset. So I wanted to be my own boss and get out of the cubicle in corporate America. And I did. I left it all. And, and I mean, when I transitioned from nails to becoming a coach, I literally thought in 3 months, I'm going to have this full following, in a coaching business in 3 months. And that's not at all what happened. Because I really had to go on a much deeper healing journey for myself first before I could, really, find my niche and, learn all the stuff. I mean, when you have a brick and mortar of a nail salon is much easier than, doing what I'm doing now. I mean, it's becoming easier, but, it's been a journey for sure.
Well, but isn't that what I was talking with somebody, and this is like a great big drama play that we get to act in.
Mhm.
And isn't that part of the fun? You got to earn a bunch of money and to have a business for 30 years. You're transitioning to this, and it's just because that led to this, led to that, and now it all, when you look back on it, and when you're in the middle of it, you can't see it necessarily, but when you get to look back on it, it is a remarkable journey that we are on, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like John was saying, when I was a kid, and someone said, what do you want to do when you grow up? I said, I want to be a teacher. And I was thinking school teacher, but I became a yoga teacher. So that's a teacher. And now I'm teaching people how to heal themselves, really. I mean, I'm helping them, but I'm really giving them the tools so they can continue on their own journey and do it themselves. I mean, everybody, I feel, at some point needs some kind of guidance or help from somebody else, and I have like a village of people, that I help, that help me, that I call to for when I need things. Um, but yeah, so it's interesting.
That teacher mindset is what makes people like you so special, in understanding that that's what you want to do. You want to do things, to help other people grow.
Yeah.
For me, I thought about being a teacher too, but I hate kids. No, I'm kidding. I wound up being a disco dance teacher at one point in my life.
That's fun.
There you go. So we do things, and I realized as I progressed through my career, and I went into journalism and public affairs ultimately, but I started out doing electrical engineering, and I was teaching my coworkers how to find, common technical problems. And I found that the teaching and the interaction was the thing that was most attractive to me, but I didn't realize that's what it was. And throughout my whole career, everything that I was doing, I was teaching people how to speak to the media. I was teaching people how to give a speech. And I was always teaching. And I realized that, oh, duh, the light went on, and there it is. That's what I should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately found my way into coaching and speaking and all of that stuff as well. And so, but we do that as we find that path. And a lot of times it's in retrospect that we realize we've been on that path all along.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I
And
mean,
that's what's so amazing about this. And that's how
yeah,
Kevin and I wound up getting together on this.
right. I mean, I've just always been like a deeply feeling person and a very emotional person. So I'm the emotional coach, And when I had my salon, I was kind of like a therapist to a lot of my clients.
I was just going to say that. It was like you were a bartender, and you would sit there with somebody doing their nails, and you could give them some things about life, and you learned from a lot of people that way. That was part of your educational process to get to where you are today.
Yeah.
I was going to say bartender too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But it's true. Your hairstylist, your nail person, your bartender, those people you wind up developing these amazing relationships with, and sharing stuff that you don't even share with people at home.
Yeah. No, and I always wanted to, talk deep with people. I don't want to just hear like what you had for lunch. I want to hear, tell me about the fight you had with your ex, or like, I want to talk deep stuff. And
let's get juicy. I like it.
Yeah.
Do you remember the commercial with Madge?
Of course.
Where she put her fingers in the
dish soap.
Yeah. And she was
You're soaking in it.
You're soaking, and she was the one who had sage advice for everybody. At least that was so that was part of, when you look back at your career, that was an important part of your development as you went forward.
I mean, and so many things, and one of which is I felt that being in that business, it was all about beauty on the outside, and I wanted to feel beautiful on the inside and not worry so much about looking perfect on the outside, because I felt I needed to do that for people to like me. And that was like a big thing that I learned, and then said, like, yeah, I just want to keep on this path of the inside, strengthening the inside. And that's really what led me to becoming a coach.
Where
Meryl,
did
we'll
you
have
grow
you-
up, Meryl? I'm sorry.
What?
So where did you grow up?
I grew up in Wayne, New Jersey.
Oh, you sound like you're a New Jersey girl. But I did want to mention before we get too far into this, because I'm having a really nice time talking to you about all of this. But if somebody wants to get a hold of you and wants you to work with them, how do they find you?
So everything is under my name, Meryl Hayton. So my email is my name, my website is my name, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, everything is my name to make it easy. I have a YouTube channel with a lot of EFT tapping videos on there to help people to, reduce overwhelm, anxiety, body pain, regulate their nervous system, just reducing stress, overwhelm, overthinking, lots of different things. My website has plenty of blogs on it. And if you subscribe to my email list, they get a 7-day tapping into worthiness freebie. So there's plenty.
So that's MerylHayton.com.
Yep.
Well, and you've also got a program that is coming out in the spring of 25 that is something about worthiness. Explain what that is.
So I'm going to do a group coaching program starting in February, and that will be strengthen, find your inner strength. So it's like radical emotional transformation. And that'll be a 3-month group program online. And there'll be plenty of like marketing, and I'm going to do a challenge before that to kind of give people a little taste of what they'll get in that group program. And then I'm leading a retreat. It's called I Am Enough Spring Retreat. It's the last weekend in April 24th, Thursday through Sunday. It's up in the Catskills at this beautiful home that's now the Orenda Retreat Center. So it's booking up very quickly. So there are a few spots left of that. So
Congratulations.
thank you.
Does it feel good to have the impact over as many people as you're having the impact over?
Yeah, I don't think I let myself feel good enough sometimes about it.
So is there a worthiness deal here that we need to talk about? We just me and John's writing it down so we can talk about it there. And
Yeah.
I think that we all have. As a matter of fact, just real quick, John. Last week I did several shows with people who were singing my praises from the high heavens about the show and what we're doing and all that. It's like, and I have a terrible time receiving any of that because this is what I do, and I love doing it. But so I get it. I get it. The worthiness of who you are when you're walking down the street and people say, "Hey, there goes Meryl. She is a wonderful transformation coach."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get a lot of accolades. I mean, most of my clients are, very happy. I can't please everybody,
That's
I know
because we're human, and some people
know that for sure. And you know, healing my relationship within myself and my relationships with and like creating relationship boundaries and really trusting myself in relationships is a big part of my learning and why I'm here. So it's something that I still navigate. Will always be on my healing journey until the end.
well, the end is very far, very, very far from now.
Yep.
because you've got lots to do.
I was just going to say, you took the words out of my mouth. I was like, yeah, I have a lot to do still.
And we all do. And John is a tender age of 65, who a relative of mine says he could be 50. So we're just going to call you 50 from now on.
Okay. 65 is the new 50. I like that.
Exactly. And so in the work that you are doing and the people that you're impacting, and give us some thoughts on if somebody is struggling out there and they're listening to this show now or in the future, and they don't really know how to approach a transformational coach. Can you give us some tips on how they can approach someone like you, or specifically you would be good, and to get involved with you and understand what kind of impact that you can have on their life?
Well, I think that's why it's always great for someone like me to have freebies so that people can kind of, do a little work on their own and see if they just like the self-study part first and watching me on video. And then they usually will ask, hey, I saw your post, I saw your video. It sounds like you're speaking right to me. I know somebody wrote in the application for my retreat, and she said, the words were speaking to my soul. I said, oh, I love that.
Oh,
And you're
wow.
obviously perfect for this, So
And that's when you've done it. You've done it right. When you strike a chord.
Yeah. So I think that the people who I attract are seekers. They're seeking to feel better about themselves. They're seeking the next level in their life. So by the time they reach out to me, they've already done some work. They've already done some therapy. They've kind of know a little bit about energy healing. They understand that maybe they still have trauma and they're ready to let it go. So
I think people, as they discover energy healing, are finding it to be, just so remarkable and making such a bigger difference in their life than traditional methods. And I think people are starting. I meet more and more people in this realm throughout the various things that I do, and I keep finding more and more folks, and each one of them is just so full of positive energy. And I know that I have benefited so much more through that kind of stuff than all of the medications and other garbage and even dietary changes. I mean, I like food too much, so I don't make too many dietary changes. And I'm not one for exercise very much either. So, but I have found that, there's bringing a lot of mostly ancient studies and ancient medicine and energy medicine, and understanding how that we are energy and how energy flows through us makes all the difference in the world. And so more and more people are finding that, but they're forced by society to look at other things first. So by the time they get to somebody like you, and some of the other people that we've spoken to and that I've met, they're almost like, okay, I've got to try something new because this stuff is only getting me so far.
Well, okay. So perfect segue into what I wanted to say. Thank you for paving that beautiful path.
You're welcome. So, I'll expect the check next week.
Yeah.
It'll be a small check. Go ahead.
I know for me, I did yoga for many, many years, became a teacher. I did Reiki, practiced Reiki. Received Reiki, went to sound healing, tried all sorts of things, but nothing helped me get to the root cause of my problems, except, until I found EFT tapping. And it is absolutely scientifically proven to heal PTSD and trauma. And that's a lot of the work that I do. And that's why it's like practically a daily practice for me. Sometimes, there's many days, months where I feel great and I just am tapping positive thoughts and affirmations and things like that. And, just like I feel like it sets it in more. And, you know, and then there are days where I'm like, I feel like crap and I don't want to feel like crap. So, okay, well, let's move the energy then. And then I work on that. And then I can end up, you know, changing my mood or my attitude and feeling better.
The remarkable part of that is that you're able to recognize it.
Yeah.
And most of us don't recognize that within ourselves.
Yeah.
Or believe that it's possible to heal ourselves.
Bingo.
Yeah.
That goes back to choices.
Yeah, exactly. It goes back to choices. I mean, and I am in a few practice groups. You know, I have a mentor in my work that I meet with monthly in a group setting, and I meet weekly with another woman and we practice together. And I meet with a group, another group of practitioners monthly. So I'm constantly immersed in continuing education about it.
I'm willing to, John, just real quick, I just wanted to say that I'm willing to bet, and I know this for a fact, everybody has got a blind spot, or 10, or 20, and everybody needs, everybody, how to say this, everybody would be better served by working with a coach who will help you see those blind spots so that you can address them. Okay, John, go ahead.
Absolutely.
No, you were actually, we were going in the same direction. So I'm just going to take it and I'm just going to nudge it over a little bit here. So now you're talking about some of the programs that you have coming up. Just out of curiosity, in this, let's talk about the retreat. In this retreat, how many people would you be able to have in a retreat like this, and what does the retreat look like?
So I'm probably going to cap it around 15. I already have 4 in 2 days. Marketing has only been out for 2 days, and I have 4 people signed up already. So it's a Thursday night to a Sunday. Thursday night will be dinner. We'll be eating dinner together in the dining room. And I hired a vegan chef who will cook all of our meals, and their price includes their room, all of the workshops with me, yoga, and all of their meals. So the first night really is about everybody getting to know each other, introducing themselves, and setting intentions and goals for the weekend. And I'll discuss the program and what to expect. So I, over the last few years, created my own unique emotional clearing method process. And that's what I use with my clients privately. That's what I teach in 2 hours, or I'll teach it over the course of this weekend. So Thursday night will be step 1. Friday will be step 2 and 3, which is all about releasing, healing work, inner child healing, ancestral healing, and all that. And then Saturday will be step 4 and 5, which is rewiring and aligning to who you really are, coming back to yourselves, pulling your energy back to yourself, and using law of attraction. So really anchoring into the affirmations and the positivity. We're going to do some dancing. It's going to be great, fun, more upbeat, lively day after the healing and the releasing can be tough sometimes. And Sunday will be a closing ceremony. We'll have breakfast and lunch, and then people will go home, skip home.
Now, is this predominantly for women?
Yes, it's for women.
Can I come?
You can come.
My wife says I'm in touch with my feminine side, so.
Nah, John, we're not ready for that, I don't think. But I think that's wonderful, because I know several people that are putting groups like that together. Mm-hmm. And the need for women, I think we said it earlier today, the need for women who have been traumatized through so much in their lives. And I can point to almost every woman that I know has been at one point or another traumatized by something that has happened in their life, and it has affected them profoundly.
Every single person in the world has. It just depends on what it is and how it affects people. And some people were really encouraged in their youth, and they can easily let go of things. Not everybody was. They weren't taught how to be the cheerleader for themselves.
We were taught how to react.
Right.
We were taught how we're constantly told how we should be made to feel by the things that are happening around us.
Yeah. Or not told at all. And then like me, like I had to figure it all out on my own. Am I supposed to feel bad? Am I supposed to feel sad? Am I supposed to feel angry? I don't know, really know, so it was kind of like a confusing thing for me that I had to figure out. And I didn't suffer any real big, severe trauma, but that doesn't matter because it still felt like that to me.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was going to say,
yeah,
that's what they say about PTSD.
Right.
That, you think you got to be like in a war, and
Right.
but that's not necessary. It could be the traffic accident. It could be watching what happened to me on the 4th of July in the 1980s. I witnessed a suicide where a guy took his own life. Well, I hate the 4th of July to this day because of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be a big deal. It can be anything at all.
We have, I mean, trauma is trauma,
Right.
no matter what it is, and
right.
our body deals with it in a certain way. By the way, we use the word, we try not to use post-traumatic stress disorder, because disorder has with it kind of a stigma, right? Oh, I have a disorder. There's something wrong with me. Or people say, oh, this person has a disorder. There's something wrong with them. Try to look at it more as an injury. It's post-traumatic stress injury. Because an injury is not your fault.
Right.
And so you can accept that more. It's not your fault. And also it's something that you can heal from and overcome. So if trying to change that mindset from having a disorder, oh my God, I'm stuck doing this. I suck. I've got a disorder, whatever, until I have an injury and I can heal from that.
Well, yeah. I mean, Kevin, if you don't mind me saying, like, you could change that feeling about July 4th if you want, because it's a choice.
Oh, exactly. I mean, this was a long time ago,
right?
And I'm over it now, and a lot of those people are gone, and all that.
But you're not over it, Kevin, because you still hate the 4th of July.
Right.
I hate loud noises too.
Okay, well, that's a different thing.
Well, it's all part of because anyway, I won't tell the story.
Okay, but I get it.
But the thing is, first of all, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you coming and talking to us about this thing that I think happens to everybody. I don't know anybody that gets out of it, and I think that's part of life, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to just comment on, you said something about soldiers in war, like that you weren't in war.
No.
What did you say?
No, I said it's some people consider post-traumatic stress as a great big thing.
Right.
It doesn't have to be. It can be a little thing.
Well, and I want to just add on to that a little bit it is scientifically proven that prisoners of war who have children can have PTSD from their father, say, for example, being a prisoner of war, even though the child was not actually a prisoner of war. That's how energy can be passed down through our DNA, but it absolutely can be healed.
Is that one of the things? I call it the 7-generation rule.
Okay. It's like generational trauma.
Generational trauma that goes from if your granddad was a alcoholic who beat his wife, and that tends to go down generation by generation until somebody breaks the cycle. And sometimes it takes somebody outside of the situation to help break that cycle. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's ancestral healing.
Yes, and I noticed that you're going to talk about that in one of the groups that you're doing in the spring of 25. So you need to go to Meryl Hayton, that's HAYTON.com, and find out all about the work that she does. And you can call her and do one-on-ones with her, which I think would be very, very helpful. You've been great to be on the show today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Before we go, is there any, I would love for you to give you the opportunity. I know I just said goodbye, but I'm saying hello again. Would it be, I would love to give you the opportunity to tell our audience and to tell John, who, boy, I'm telling you, is that man a mess, to tell him, I'm kidding, but to tell our audience anything that you would like them to know.
Well, I mean, one of the things that I always say, I said already, is that you always have a choice. Let's see. What else? We talked about a lot today.
We did.
We did.
John, would you like to help along?
I know. I'm feeling a little stuck. I need to do some EFT tapping to get
maybe we can elaborate on the fact that to remind people that, you know, you don't have to face whatever you're facing alone. It's okay to ask for help. And so asking for help from somebody like you is, you know, first of all, it's confidential, right? And all that good stuff. So but they have an opportunity and they have a choice to make a difference for themselves by not being afraid to ask for help. So maybe you can help people release themselves from the stigma of needing help.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, some of my clients are therapists, and when they first come to me, they say, like, I have a lot of shame about even being here because I should know better. I shouldn't have, you know, shouldn't need this work. And I'm like, so do you think that I shouldn't need the work because I'm leading you? And they say, no. So, okay, well then why do you think that you shouldn't need the work? And then they're like, oh yeah, really, you know, because we're always like our worst critic.
Absolutely. Right? And, you know, especially people who are in the counseling world and the coaching world and other types of things like that tend to take on some of the trauma of the clients that they're working with.
Yeah.
You know, especially, you know, like counselors for suicide and rape counselors. They you know, so many of them have experienced a trauma themselves, which is why they went into this work. And then now they kind of relive it each time they're working with a client. And so then they keep it in themselves and they forget they can ask for help themselves as well.
Yeah. I mean, in order to keep my accreditation and certifications and titles and whatnot, I have to do continuing education. And it's for that reason, not that reason alone, but that's part of the reason. If I'm not clear, how can I really, you know, be the best guide for someone, the best channel for someone? Yeah. So I've got to do the work.
And so because this is positive talk, we want to enter on a positive note. So go talk to Meryl and I think that's all I got to say.
Be transformed.
That's right. And transform to the person who you would really like to be, because unless you are, I don't know what I was going to say actually, John. So
well, I almost was thinking like that old army ad, right? Be that all that you can be. But stop being what other people say you're supposed to be, and be who you're supposed to be.
Yeah. And transformation is possible. It is possible.
Not only is it possible, it is necessary, in my opinion, if you're going to achieve why you really came here. And
absolutely. And the healing that you do for yourself helps the collective. So.
Couldn't have said that better. John Verrico, thank you so much. Meryl Hayton, thank you. And go to her website, again, merylhayton.com, and find out all about her. And enjoy the retreats. I'm sorry, can't go. But
sorry.
Okay. Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got. That's